Have you ever felt like you're too damaged to be loved? Like no matter how hard you try, something inside you just won't heal? Carl Jung had a message for anyone who feels this way. You're not broken. You're becoming. In this video, we explore Jung's powerful philosophy of wholeness, not perfection. The pain you feel isn't a sign of failure, it's the first step toward self-realization. We'll take you through Jung's ideas on the shadow, the inner child, projection, and the sacred journey of individuation. This isn't self-help fluff. It's a deep psychological roadmap to healing. So if you're ready to stop fighting yourself and start understanding yourself, this video might change the way you see your entire life. We live in a world obsessed with the image of perfection. Smiling faces, flawless bodies, successful careers, curated lives. And when we fall short of that ideal, when we feel anxious, insecure, lost, or unworthy, we begin to believe a dangerous lie that we are broken. But Carl Jung offered a radical truth. He said the psyche is not broken. It is complex, mysterious, layered, but not broken. What we mistake as dysfunction is often the soul's attempt to protect itself, to survive what once felt unbearable. The anxiety you carry, the emotional numbness, the overthinking, the fear of abandonment, these are not defects. They are defenses, and they formed for a reason. Somewhere in your past, your nervous system made a choice to shield you, to split off the parts of you that felt too dangerous to show. This splitting, this inner exile, is what Jung called repression. Not because we are weak, but because we had no other choice. But repression comes with a cost. We start to forget who we are. As we grow up, we try to rebuild an identity around our wounds. We become the achiever, the caretaker, the people pleaser, the performer. We build masks. We learn to smile through pain, to stay silent when we want to scream, to offer love we never give ourselves. And when those masks crack, when the pain breaks through, we feel like we are falling apart. But we're not falling apart. We are falling inward. Jung believed this collapse is sacred. It is the moment the false self begins to dissolve. It is the call to individuation, the soul's deep longing to become whole again. So when you feel broken, lost, or empty, try asking this: what if this is not the end? What if this is the beginning of something I've been avoiding? Because what you call broken might be your breakthrough. Carl Jung believed that healing requires a confrontation with the shadow, the hidden part of ourselves that holds everything we've been taught to reject. The shadow isn't evil. It is made of everything you've disowned: your rage, your jealousy, your desire, your shame, your power. It is all the parts of you you had to hide to survive. As children, we quickly learn what makes us lovable and what makes others turn away. We learn to smile when we're sad, to stay quiet when we're scared, to be good even when it hurts. The parts of us that don't fit that mold get pushed underground. But they don't disappear, they become the shadow. And the shadow doesn't stay buried. It leaks out in our triggers, our patterns, our self-sabotage, our addictions. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is the power of the shadow. Left unseen, it controls us. But when we begin to turn inward and meet it with compassion instead of fear, it transforms. The shadow isn't our enemy. It is our guide. It shows us where we hurt. It points us to the wounds we've ignored. And it offers us something sacred: integration. Not erasure, not perfection, but wholeness. When you face your shadow, you begin to reclaim your full self. You stop pretending to be only light, and you start becoming real. You become someone who can hold their own complexity and still be worthy of love. Because you are. Deep inside every adult is a younger self still waiting to be heard. Carl Jung called this part of us the inner child, not just a memory, but a living presence within the psyche. It holds our earliest joys and, more importantly, our earliest wounds. When our caregivers failed to meet our emotional needs, We didn't just feel disappointed. We felt abandoned. And from that abandonment grew a belief I am not enough. This belief rarely disappears with age. Instead, it burrows deep. We carry it into our friendships, our romances, our careers. We overachieve to prove our worth. We people please to avoid rejection. We fear intimacy even as we crave it. All of these patterns are echoes of a child who learned that love is conditional. That to be safe, they must not be too much, or too emotional, or too needy. The inner child doesn't need us to fix the past. It needs us to acknowledge it, to stop minimizing the pain, to stop telling ourselves, it wasn't that bad, because healing doesn't come from dismissing our wounds. It comes from validating them, from offering ourselves the compassion we never received. Jung believed that until we do this, we remain trapped in a cycle. Our relationships suffer. Our sense of self remains fragile. But when we turn inward and say to that child within us, I see you, I believe you, I'm here now, something miraculous happens. Trust begins to rebuild. Safety returns, and we begin to love not from lack, but from wholeness. Healing the inner child isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to be someone else. Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This is the essence of projection. We do not see others as they are. We see them as we are. We place our disowned emotions, fears, and desires onto those around us, especially in our closest relationships. When someone makes us irrationally angry, overly anxious, or painfully attached, it often has less to do with them and more to do with what they reflect back to us. The partner who is emotionally distant may reflect the love we withheld from ourselves. A friend who constantly seeks validation may trigger the part of us that was never allowed to ask for attention. Projection is not a flaw, it's a signal. It's the psyche's way of saying, look here, there's something within you that needs to be seen. Jung believed that romantic relationships are especially fertile ground for projection. We fall in love with a fantasy, not a person. We project our ideal self onto the other. But when reality breaks through, we feel betrayed, not by them but by the illusion we created. The real work begins when we use these emotional reactions not to control others, but to understand ourselves. The more conscious we become of our projections, the more responsibility we take for our inner world, and the more capable we become of loving others as they truly are, not as reflections of our own wounds. Relationships then become mirrors, not prisons. They show us who we are, where we still hurt, and what still needs healing. And when we stop blaming others for our pain, we begin to reclaim the power to heal it. Carl Jung believed that the ultimate goal of the human psyche is not happiness, but wholeness. This journey toward wholeness is what he called individuation, a lifelong process of becoming who we truly are. It is not about fixing what is broken or pretending we are perfect. It is about integrating every part of ourselves, the light and the dark, the conscious and unconscious, the wounded and the wise. Individuation begins the moment we stop trying to be someone we're not and start listening to the parts of ourselves we've ignored. It is a deeply personal journey that requires honesty, courage, and commitment. We must leave behind the false identities we adopted to please others and return to the authentic self we abandoned along the way. Jung saw this process as spiritual in nature, but not necessarily religious. It is the soul's quiet urge to become whole. It often begins with a crisis, a loss, a breakdown, a betrayal, something that shakes us from the surface of life and pushes us inward. From there, the work is to confront our fears, heal our wounds, and listen to the inner voice we've long silenced. Individuation is not a straight path. It is a spiral. We revisit old wounds at deeper levels. We rediscover parts of ourselves we thought were gone. We fall, we rise, and we fall again, but each time, with more self-awareness, more resilience, more truth. The goal isn't to become someone else. It's to fully become yourself. And in doing so, you offer something rare to the world, a human being who is real, rooted and whole. This is the heart of Jung's message. Not perfection, but integration. Not performance, but presence. Because the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more whole ones. There is a myth in our culture that healing looks like peace, stillness, and a life free from pain. But Carl Jung taught that real healing doesn't always feel good. It doesn't come wrapped in perfect routines or tied up in affirmations. Real healing is messy. It is raw. It often looks like breaking down before breaking through. Healing means sitting with the parts of ourselves we've avoided for years. It means crying for the first time in decades. It means telling the truth even when your voice shakes. It means grieving things you never gave yourself permission to mourn. And it means falling apart, sometimes over and over, in order to finally come together. Jung believed that we must confront the darkness to find the light, that we must go through the shadow to reach the self, and that pretending to be okay is not strength, it's fear. The true path to wholeness requires radical honesty. You have to say, I'm not fine, I'm hurting, I'm scared, and that's okay. We live in a world that glorifies fast fixes, but the soul doesn't heal on a schedule. Healing is not linear, it's not pretty, and it's never perfect. Some days you'll take 5 steps forward and then fall 10 steps back. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're healing. So let go of the idea that you need to have it all together. Let go of the image of who you think you're supposed to be, and instead, meet yourself where you are. Be honest, be real, be present, because that's where healing begins. Not in pretending to be whole, but in daring to be broken in the open. Carl Jung believed that the act of becoming one's true self is not a passive realization, it is an act of immense courage. To become truly and fully means stepping away from the roles you've been told to play, the beliefs you've blindly carried, and the fears that once protected you. It means walking into the unknown parts of yourself and staying there long enough to hear what your soul is trying to say. Becoming isn't something that happens to us. It's something we choose. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you are becoming. Every time you forgive a part of yourself you used to hate, you are becoming. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice shakes, you are becoming. The path of becoming demands everything. You will lose people. You will outgrow versions of yourself. You will face silence, solitude, and doubt. But what you gain in return is far more precious: authenticity, freedom, and a relationship with yourself that no one can take away. This is why becoming is the bravest thing you can do. Because in a world that profits from your self-doubt, choosing to know, love, and express your real self is an act of rebellion. It is the quiet revolution that transforms everything. You don't become whole by being fearless. You become whole by walking through the fear, by taking each step shaky and uncertain with the unshakable belief that you are worth the journey. So many people walk through life feeling like something is wrong with them. They wear smiles to hide the ache. They chase goals to avoid the silence. They numb their feelings to escape the pain. But underneath all of that effort is often a simple truth: they have never truly been seen. Carl Jung didn't believe that healing was about fixing what was broken. He believed it was about seeing what was hidden within ourselves and within others. It's about making the unconscious conscious. It's about welcoming back the parts of ourselves we had to abandon to survive, and in doing so, finally feeling whole again. If you've made it this far, know this: you are not alone. Your journey is valid, your pain is meaningful, and your path to wholeness is still unfolding. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You only have to be willing to look within. Because you were never broken. You were simply waiting for someone, perhaps even yourself, to see you. And now you do.